Welcome back, folks. This is the ICT Mentorship Weekend Review for week ending May 15th, 2020. Today's date is Sunday, May 17th. All right, just a quick public announcement before I begin. I am aware that there is a member sharing or posting online to chat room. And because of the COVID-19, everything is slowed down, but we are still catching people. And I have thrown out 6 charter members in just recent weeks. And the one that's posting to the chat room, the weekly commentaries, when the company I hired gets to them, their account will be banned too. I'm kind of hoping it's somebody that's selling it, because that way he's blocked or she's blocked too. And I don't have any remorse for them. I'm going to be, for a period of time, until we get through this COVID-19 stuff, I'm going to be dialing back the foresight in the commentaries. When COVID-19 doesn't have a grip on the efficiency of the company I hire to track the people that are part of this mentorship, when they go to that chat room, they're going to see that video and they'll be able to pull out their username. And then once I know that username, they will be banned and they will not get their refund. And I'll have fun doing that. But the show has to keep going on, and it'll be a brief review, and we're going to dial back the reviews to a hindsight capacity, and I'm going to be doing things that are 2 weeks in review. That means I'm going to look at data and give you analysis and technique and teachings from moves that happened 2 weeks ago, and it's going to roll every week just like that. So I already know some of you are hissing and moaning, okay, and I want you to understand something. If you tweet to me that it's unfair this or it's unfair that, I'm going to block you. It doesn't mean you're kicked out of the mentorship. It just means I don't want to hear your pissing and moaning. I pay a lot of money to make sure that my content is my content. And it's not fair for people that are here on an honest note that pay like they're supposed to, do what they're supposed to, and I'm honoring that. But I want you to remember something really clear. I never promised you every single week telling you what's going to happen next week. I've only done that just to prove that people that were in here in the first group that left and said he can't do it or can't call it before it happens. I did it for years now. Okay, so again, you don't need that. You don't need it. And the only thing by doing that right now is just feeding the deadbeats, the people that are hanging around with their hand out, aren't willing to pay the price that you are, and I don't feel sorry for them. I absolutely do not. I don't feel sorry for them. And that may sound callous, that may sound wicked or greedy, or ICT's a sellout. He's greedy. He's not that Christian. Okay, but the scriptures also say, "Don't cast your pearls before swine." So since I am slowed down in the capturing of all these deadbeats that are in here, usually it's the African folks that come in. They dogpile in with like 15 to 20 different people chipping in, and because of where they live, they like to make it like a village experience where they'll go out and say, okay, here, I'm going to put it in here, and then one person makes that link to a friend, and then that spreads. And there's others that are just simply trying to sell it because they're trying to make ends meet. And I understand that, okay? And these are the same people that call me sir on Twitter. They're the same ones that really pleasant and politely email me. And they think that their over politeness masks their crap. I've learned that the people I've had to throw out in the past were always the most polite ones, because it's them trying to, it's like a tell, it's like a poker tell. You know who it is. And I know some of the people that came in here when I accepted their membership. Okay, they're coming in with PayPal accounts that are, clearly, obviously, looking to market other people's stuff. But I give everyone the benefit of the doubt when they come in. But once you get banned, it's over. The other thing I want to talk about real quick before we get into it is when you lose your access here, okay, because you don't make your payment on time, I give you another 30 days past that. Okay, so if you missed the 1 month payment by the 9th, on the 10th, your access is removed. You have all the way until the first day of the new month. If you don't pay it by then, I remove your access and you're canceled. what happens at that moment? You have to pay all the way from month one all the way through it again. And I'm going to tell you the reason why I do this. And I know sometimes people fall into financial circumstances that are just outside their control. I understand that. But remember, this is a business, it's a service, and it runs on terms of use. The reason why I make everybody go back to square one if they want to rejoin is because of the things that we see in recent months where people are putting my stuff on the internet. They're on several different hacker websites that are in pieces, but it's still my stuff. And some of them are proving a little bit difficult to get them taken down because they're outside of the United States, and it's a little bit more cost on my part, which is the reason why I still charge money, because I take my money and I pay for other services and agencies to help me manage my content. So everyone that is here, if you lose your access because you miss a payment, I make you go back to square one, because I have also seen people, and some of them have been very honest and said, look, I was thinking I was going to be able to get it for free other places, so I stopped paying, and then it got taken down where I was getting it from. Can I come back and start where I started from? And no, absolutely not. Because you're asking me to, reward you, reward you for being dishonest? No. So the punishment, and you can call it that and be mad about it all you want, but I punish those individuals, okay? And it may not be your circumstance. That may not be what happened to you. But nonetheless, to give me peace of mind, because I got to live with myself, okay? I have to do this. And if it's something you really want to do, that's why I stress people before they join. If you don't have the money to pay the entire mentorship, don't join. Don't do it. Because it's stupid for you to start something and then have me tell you, no, you got to go back to month one. And I've had people go all the way to month 11. And they're all the way back to the beginning, going through it again. They didn't like it at first, but, they're here. And that may be cruel in your eyes, but it is a business. It is my content. It is my life. And I stressed and lost a lot to get this, okay? And it irritates me, but I'm still going to do what I'm going to do. I could close this mentorship down today. This could be the very last video I ever produce, and never let another person come in ever again. And I don't ever have to worry about money. I didn't have to worry about money before I started this mentorship. Okay, so I want you to understand, for me to be, I guess, motivated, I guess the word I'm looking for, is for people just to simply understand why I have to do the things I do, and you still are getting content. And I read messages from members and they say, I want to make sure I'm going to get what you promised. I am going to do that. And I told you when it's going to be done. December of 2021, there will not be any more new lessons from me. I have a schedule that I'm keeping. And once I get to that point, the mentorship terms of use will change again. And that's what your agreement says. Everybody's taken back when I raised the mentorship price up by $5, which is modest. It's nothing. Okay, but I did that to offset some of the costs that PayPal put on me. And because I have so many transactions per month, when you guys make your payments incorrectly, and I refund it because it needs to be done correctly, PayPal has suspended the reimbursement of the fees that normally would be refunded to me. If I give you your money back because you made a payment incorrectly, you get your money back plus the transaction cost on your end, and I used to get mine. That is no longer there because I was doing about $45,000 a month in refunds. Not because people are unhappy, not because they asked for it, because they don't get it when they ask for it anyway. But the point is that transactional cost, PayPal was eating that, and they were having to give me my money back and your money back as the buyer. But because I have to do the transactions so many times because people in here just simply don't listen. The rules are very clear. If you make your payment, it has to have the note, and it has to be exactly as we provide it. If it's not said in the same way, if it's not verbatim, if it's not accurate, if you're saying you received the previous month and you're satisfied and you want to go to month number 8, but in reality it's month number 9 you're trying to go to, that's wrong. I have to refund it, and you make the payment again. And that's why we charge that transactional fee. It's a service fee that I get that money back that I lose because you didn't follow the directions. So why should I suffer? Because I'm paying people to help me run this. And if I have to make them do more of what they would normally have to do, what entitlement do you have that justifies you being able to do whatever you want to do, come in here, make payments incorrectly, and then say, well, I shouldn't have to pay more. Why shouldn't you? Why shouldn't you? If it's your fault, if it's your mistake that is easily avoidable, if you just simply take your time, you have a grace period that all the way to the 9th of the month. There's no rush to make the payment. But some of you are just simply irresponsible and you're unorganized. And it's fascinating to me that some of you come in here with the expectation that you're going to learn how to beat these markets, and you're not even organized when you make your payments. And that doesn't sound like a professional statement coming from me. I'm paying you to teach me. Don't give me some woodshed moment. I'm telling you that this is what goes on. And a lot of you are irresponsible. You're simply irresponsible. And if you can't be good stewards with making your payments and doing what you have to do accurately there, how could you possibly imagine being consistently profitable in this the hardest market on the planet? This is the hardest market in the planet. You just can't walk in here and take over everything if you're unorganized and you're lazy. And lazy is what it is, because these payment notes only change by one number, okay? And that's it. It's the same payment note until you get to a charter member. Well, definitely not. I guess it's the 12th month of payments. No, yeah, it is. It's the final month going in a charter. So just be mindful that I am aware. So you guys don't have to send me. I'm getting a lot of the emails saying, here's a chat room, posting your commentaries. It will get taken down. That member will lose access, and I don't care what their feelings are about it. But this is the reason why I teach the way I do. This is the reason why I spread it out over time. Because greed is going to allow these broke individuals that don't have the capacity to actually learn how to use it, and they want to make it available to other people. And usually it's an enticement. They show it for a little while, and then once they get a group, they start charging people. Come in here and you can pay me $5. And it's stupid. It's dumb. Because none of these people are going to get it. They're never going to get it. They're never going to be successful. They're never going to learn how to trade. And the Mickey Mouse chump change that they collect doing it until they get banned. 90% of the videos that are making circulation right now are Saeed's, the guy I threw out in 2017 for sharing it and making it available to the people over there in the UK, all his friends. And then they shared it with their friends, and it became everywhere. So 90% of the videos that I find that are on there are just copies of one SZ or whatever his goofball name is. But there's been a few since him that have actually, tried to put things out there and sell stuff, and I banned them. And they cried to me in email, I'm sorry, I was only doing this for my family. Listen, the rules are very clear. If you put it up on the internet anywhere, in a online hosting site, okay, a Google Drive, whatever, it takes us time, but we get it. And once we get it, and this is just slowing us down, COVID-19 stuff, but you do lose your account. And I don't care with your sob stories that you email me that you lost your account. I just booted another charter member out yesterday. He's Mr. Institutional Trader, Mr. something, over on YouTube. And he's gone. He was getting ready to open up shop with mentorship. And I'm quite certain that he was surprised that he got caught too. But it's over. Listen, folks. I enjoy teaching. I absolutely love doing this. And I also have a life. What I meant by tweeting the other day, by missing being unknown, is I have hundreds of emails coming to me every single day, and I can't keep up with it. And yes, I knew what I was getting into. And it's a lot of work. Most of my days, even on the weekends, are dealing with this. Lots of emails, lots of questions, lots of misunderstandings that they have to be cleared up so that way the student feels like they're making progress. And I'm the only person that knows what to say and how to answer those questions. I'm the only one that makes the videos. I'm the only one that plans it. I am longing to go back to my life before 2010. Okay, and the only way I'm going to do that is to get through the content that I have scheduled to be delivered, and in December 2021, I will get my life back. I'm going to go back to doing what I want to do, and I'm going to just simply do one video per week. And that's what I mean when I say the terms of use change. They can change. It's in your agreements on the first page. Go to scroll down, you'll see it starts as terms of use are subject to change. They can change at any time. You know, if I want to charge $500 a month for this mentorship, what says I can't? You? No. I can do whatever I want to do. I only raise the price when it costs me more. And I said this to the group in 2016. I'm not in here, and I could charge a whole lot more than I do. But I don't. But if you could imagine just for a moment what it's like to deal with so many people that are sincere about learning and also build lessons and stay on track and have also my family around me all the time now. You know, children, just like your home, I have my children at home too now. And my wife can't go out and do what she normally would do. And they are much more demanding of my time. And it's hard to do that with this mentorship going. So I want to make public announcements throughout the coming months, just reminding you all that we are going to wind this down in 2021. It doesn't mean it stops. It doesn't mean the website goes offline. It doesn't mean any of that stuff. It just means that my level of content production is going to drop to just one video per week. That's it. And I really don't want anyone to, at that point, to feel like, yeah, I got to join mentorship, because I really want it to wind down. I've made a lot of money with it. I have done a lot of work to build it up, and I'm going to give the rights to it to my children, as I mentioned on Twitter. They will, at that time in 2021, I want to devote my time to them personally and provide them the things that are in my head that are the things that I just can't teach. Now, I know some of you are going to be upset about that. Oh, it's not fair that you give your kids that, not us. Well, you're not my kids. You're not my family. We are just associates online. You're never going to meet me. I'm never going to shake hands with you. I'm never going to have dinner with you. I'm never going to have a drink with you. We are just professional associates. We walked into this together, and I have obligations still to meet, and I'm going to meet them. But the level of entitlement some of you have is offensive, because I do teach. I do teach things that you're not going to find anywhere else. And it's very offensive to see these people just think it's cute to get out here and just share it and post it. And they laugh and they think they're beating something. I'm laughing at them because they think they're going to figure it out. They're never going to figure it out. They're going to see it always after it happens and say, oh yeah, it's that thing ICT talked about. But why can't I ever see it going forward? Because they're not going to experience it like you're experiencing it. They're not going to get their questions asked. I get thousands of emails a month from people that are non-members, and I don't answer their questions. I mean, if it's something simple, yeah. But something along the lines of, technical analysis, or does this look like this or that? I'm not going to be feeding these people that aren't in here like you are. That's why I demand you all to send me your username. Because without your username, I'm not interested in even considering your email. I just delete it. I don't consider it worth my time, because that was also told to you as well. If you're going to reach out to me and you're in a mentorship, your username and your email address must match. And if it doesn't, guess what? You don't get your answer. And I don't feel bad for you, because you're probably one of those individuals that have found pieces of this on the internet somewhere. And it's acted as advertisement in a lot of ways, because they see pieces of it and they think, well, wouldn't it be just better if this was a part of it and I got to worry about it? And that's what happens. But there's also these deadbeats that are never going to invest in themselves. They're never going to do the things the right way. But they'll fault me and someone else outside of their failure. And that is always the case. So the show continues. I just want to remind you that there is someone working with me that helps me find these individuals by their account. And that person will lose that account. And I'm going to mock them online because what they're doing is stupid. Absolutely stupid. And it's not going to hurt me. Like I said, I could put all these videos on, all mentorship videos, I could put them on YouTube. Every single one of them. And it still will not deliver what these people think it's going to do for them, because they're not walking it with you and me every single week. They're not doing it. They don't have the experience. They don't have the access to me, because there are things that you're going to have to do that I've taught you and will teach you that you have to find by way of experience. And these people are lazy. That's why they're in these chat rooms. They want someone else to get good at it, or find someone that they think is good at it and copycat them. That's all it is. It was like this on America Online. It's the same stuff. It's just more prevalent now because I'm the hot hand. Everybody wants a part of what you're in. And that's fine. That's good. It's good to be in demand. But there's always going to be that. There's always going to be some joker out there playing Robin Hood and trying to put everybody onto something that normal people, the upstanding folks, go in and do what they're supposed to do. Be responsible and considerate. You see all these people, I respect ICT. You don't respect me. Okay, let's be honest. If you can make $1 off my ass, you're going to do it. Okay, and that's what these people do. And I know what it's like to be broke, because I used to be broke. I knew what it was like to have no car, no job, no money, and had to live with relatives. I know what it's like, and it makes you think about doing things that you wouldn't normally do. And maybe if, circumstances were different for these people, they probably wouldn't do the things that they do. But that's life. And it ain't killing me. It irritates me, but it ain't really stopping me. I'm still making millions of dollars. I'm still going to make $1 million, whether these people do this or not. And I don't need this mentorship to do it. That's the point. Because some people out there do it like they're hurting ICT, like they're hurting me personally. Like I said, I could stop. And I have made millions of dollars. So it's not, you can't hurt somebody that doesn't need this. So when you guys send me the emails and you're irritated because you see it, I know, I get it. But remember, the companies that are out there, they're working a very, very skeleton staff. And it's a slow process, but it happens. Who cares? They're going to be listening to this video too, and they're probably bored out of their mind, and you're irritated too. But this is my way of giving a blanket statement, so everybody knows that my mindset is what it is here. I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing. I'm going to deliver the lessons, but after this weekend review, until I get caught up with the agency I work with and they can remove the 3 people I have in idle right now that I know that are sharing, when they give me their scan and tells me what their user numbers are, or usernames, then I can remove them from the mentorship, and then we can go back to doing things the way I want to do it. Because I want to make everybody aware that this will get you caught. You will lose your account. And if people do it again in the future, whatever. You just know that it comes with a price. You get banned and you don't get a refund. And there ain't nothing you can do. So anyway, let's look at the dollar index. This is our daily chart here, and take a look at what we have. Put some lipstick on this. So here's our levels right now, and I think that with the run on the stops here, we had a bullish order block we traded down to here, and then we had this reaction in here. I like this level being breached twice with the second one lower. So we went down a little bit deeper into the order block, and we're just sitting below the buy-side liquidity pool. So I'm looking for a reason to find dollar going higher this week. It looks like it's being compressed, small little ranges, and it looks like it just wants to bubble over and run the buy side liquidity here. And if it gets a little animated, I think we're going to go back to the volume imbalance, which I have up here. That level is what I'm focusing on. I made mention of that a couple times in the last few weeks in regards to the dollar index, should it find its wings and go higher. If we go below the mean threshold of this last down close candle, all near-term bullishness is put to the back burner. In other words, we won't be expecting that. We'll be looking for it to try to make an attempt to get below here. But right now, I'm opening the week up with a soft bias that's long on dollar and short on foreign currency. So let's go to the hourly chart. All right, so here's the hourly chart on the Dixie or dollar index. And I just have some liquidity pools drawn out here. We can see the sell stops we're taking here. We have a natural gap. I mentioned that last week. We could possibly trade down into that fillet. I was wrong. I missed it by 1 point. Natural gap plus a bullish breaker. It's this, this, and this. There's your turning point. Midpoint of that breaker is what's being used for that level, and it's overlapping of the daily bullish order block. And this is the other daily bullish order block in here. You can see how price is reacting and digging into that one. Another sell side liquidity pool being tapped here, rallied up, and we have a daily bullish order block as well. Small little fair value gap in here. Watch this one because we do have a breaker. Low, high, low, up close candle in between. Take the body of that projected out in time. It's overlapping with this fair value gap. So should we get any kind of drop down below this low here, 100 level to 99.90 in that vicinity, it should offer support in price. If it does not offer support and just goes right on through that, then again it goes right back to the analogy I used on the daily chart. If we break down on that mean threshold of the bullish order block I mentioned on the daily chart, then it just basically means we're going to cascade lower on dollar. But this would be like the line in the sand for me. I wouldn't want to see it go below that. Just would, in my mind, it would indicate that it's underlyingly weaker than I thought. 15-minute chart, Dixie, sell stop liquidity pool, rated, bullish order block, fair value gap. Look at the bodies of the candle, respecting the fair value gap, wicks down to the order block. Really, really nice. Buy side liquidity pool resting still in the marketplace. We'll be looking to see if we can get into that 101 level for this weekend, and how we trade in that sets the stage for how we close the week out. So I'll be watching to see what we do on Monday's trading, and if there's anything noteworthy, I will send it by way of the forum in the chart. Moving on to euro dollars is our daily chart, and these are the levels that I feel are noteworthy at the moment. We have at the top of the fair value gap in here. We hit that on Wednesday of last week. Sell side liquidity pool rests below the 107.66 level, and then we have a sell side liquidity pool resting below here. I believe we're going to make an attempt to get down here. What day of the week? Next week, I don't know. I have to talk a little bit about euro pound before we close this video out, but I still think that cable is the underlying weaker sister or sick sister out of the two, but it still looks like it's heavy on euro dollar. So let's go into the hourly chart. Here's our hourly chart for euro, and you can see we had 1, 2, 3 higher highs rated in there. Every high, if you look at this chart, it's just been swept and then it reverses while leaving a buy side liquidity pool that's clear and just obvious that wants to try to go down there and probe into that. We have a breaker here. That's what this is here. And inside that breaker, we have a fair value gap. Now, this is a model in and of itself. If you look for breakers on a higher time frame and then look for a fair value gap within that breaker, that is a very, very strong trading pattern. Good money management with that, logical targets, and you could really carve out a really nice career with that. And this is what I'm highlighting here. I've mentioned this before in core content and other places in the mentorship, but it's materialized here, and it's a beautiful pattern. It repeats a lot. You see this actually happen a couple times a week across many of the Forex pairs. But if you know what you're looking for, it's one of those very easy patterns to get in there and trade. Now, how could you trade it? You use the low end of the fair value gap. Use the discount end, not the premium end of the range. That would be your entry, and your stop has to be above a smaller fractal inside of this area here. So we have the top of the fair value gap there, and this is an hourly chart. We go down to a lower time frame chart, 15-minute chart, you'll see in a moment, but remember what I'm saying here as the catalyst for that pattern. Small little fair value gap in here, comes down, fills in that, and then we reject and trade back up into this fair value gap. So now think about what's going on here. We have a high, high, a high. They run it, they break it down, and then we dug into that breaker. So everything that was used to go long here, they're able to mitigate last Friday. And it's just consolidating or crouching really above the buy side liquidity pool. So I'm looking for a reason for this pair to trade softer and go lower, but still not outdo British pound on the downside. All right, and 15-minute chart for euro. Here is that fair value gap within the breaker, and your stop would have to go above this candle here, right there, that up close candle. So now think about the hierarchy of what I just showed you. We have a breaker within a bias that's bearish, a bearish breaker for euro on the hourly chart, and a fair value gap. Trading the low end, okay, or the discount side of the fair value gap, not the premium, because if you're short, you want to try to get your fill. It doesn't always get to that top level, and it doesn't always get to consequent encouragement, but it does here. But the way you trade them is you want to use the low end because it's the easiest form of entry where you're likely to get that price more often than not. And the higher end, that's always the best case scenario, and best case just simply isn't a requirement. We like to use best case scenario exits. We like to have a limit order for something like that, but you'll see it doesn't all the time reach those best case scenarios, and you don't need it to be profitable. But we have the up close candle here, so it acts as what? It's our bearish order block. So the stop would have to be above that candle. So selling short at 108.45, we'll call it, rounded in the nearest 5 level, and your stop would have to be above 65. So it's a 20 pip stop. Very reasonable, and nice reaction in here. This level in here, I'm watching that on Sunday. Should we move up into this? This might be a level for me to do some exercises and practice doing some shorts in there. I like how they have this really clear level. It's just walking a trend line. You know how I feel about those. So does it punch up into here and then sell off? That's one of the things I'm watching for. It doesn't need to do that, but they have left these relatively equal highs in here. So stops might just be building up above this short-term high. They run that and spike down. Now here's the other thing. Just because I have this fair value gap here annotated, don't think that it just goes to here and not higher. This is one of the things I was talking to my son about last week. And he says, Dad, it goes through these fair value gaps sometimes, but then it will go in a direction you're telling me it's going to go. But sometimes it goes through that. Is that normal? Yes. Many times you're going to see, like what I showed on the previous chart where we had the market trade down into the dollar index fair value gap and order block. It spreads with the wick to the order block, but the bodies are staying inside of the fair value gap. That's one of the things that I discovered back in the 90s, that the wicks would be the run on specific stops, but the bulk of the volume would be inside the bodies, and the bodies would tell the real story. The wicks have a part in the narrative too, but it's not as strong or significant as it is with the bodies of the candles. And what do I mean by that? We could run up into this fair value gap and spike to the breaker again. Okay, so this could be extended out a little bit more to the right, but I left it this way so I can draw the distinctions between the two levels. The body should be respecting the fair value gap. So even if we spike up into the breaker, the wick could go there and a little bit deeper into it, but the bodies, I would imagine, would be held at bay inside that yellow range. Now, it doesn't mean it has to happen that way, but that's what I anticipate when I look at price action. So when I say there's usually some errant price action in a specific candle or a swing high or low, what I'm saying is something to this effect, where I know that this is the general turning point that would be reasonable, but how do I allow, and when I say things are permissible. Okay, it sounds arrogant to a neophyte listening to me the first time. Who am I to say it's permissible for the market to do that? No, what I'm saying is for the algorithm and the logic that I use in reading price, it's permissible to see price spike up into the breaker, but the bodies of the candles should respect that fair value gap. And I think if you go back and look at old examples of price action, you'll see many of that very thing happening. It's a specific signature that I dug out of looking at thousands and thousands of charts, over the years, and you just start to pick up on it. And I'm not limiting it to just what I just said here, because there's a lot more things I'm going to teach about that, but it's important for you to understand that exists in price. So that's the business on euro. We're going to be looking for it to run down into this level here. If we get any kind of break lower, we do not want to see it trade above this short-term high again. It's not necessary, and there's really nothing over here to be rebalanced. Small little portion of the fair value gap here also. You can see that that's what it went up into before we dropped. Moving on into cable. All right, so here's the British pound. This is our daily chart. Last Wednesday, I said that we would likely see it trade down into its BISI and just go below this low here, and I wouldn't expect it to drop all the way and fill that in, and we got that. We have been doing the YouTube channel daily examples of the optimal trade entry and just simply targeting old highs and old lows using the New York session. I'm not going to repeat any of that because that's obviously been mentioned in that video that's made public. But we did go below the short-term low here, so the buy-side liquidity pool resting below this low inside of the imbalance. Okay, we dug into that there. So that's the logic that was used. And before I go into any more discussion about cable, I do want to ring in euro pound here. And this is the daily chart of the euro pound. And this was the reasons why you heard me say what I was saying last week in the commentaries. I said that if the dollar goes up, it's probably going to be rather muted and not really pronounced or energetic or animated to the upside. But we still had up-close candles on the daily chart for dollar. Didn't really make a whole lot of headway on the upside, but still the candles were closing bullish. I said that any bullishness on the upside on dollar would be answered with more downside offered on British pound. What did I say that for? It's because of the euro pound pair here. You can see here's Friday's trading, Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday. All of last week we were going higher. We have relative equal highs in here, and the market was down here at the beginning of the week, and we had a nice run. On Tuesday, look at the delivery here. So here's Tuesday's trading of last week on euro pound. You see what's sitting here? Equal highs. Look where we stopped on Tuesday. So what is it likely to do? Run these buy-side liquidity pool. And we have an imbalance in here that we could rebalance to. If that's the case, and this pair is likely to go higher, is that bearish or bullish for cable? Well, the first pair name in this cross is euro. So if this chart's going up, that means euro is relatively stronger than British pound. So if British pound is notably weaker, then do we sell short euro or sell short cable? We sell short cable. And you can see what we see here. Okay, and it could still have a little bit more room to go up if it has it, but if it does, it'll go here. If it just completely opens up and breaks down, I'll counsel you to look at your weekly chart for information on regards to why it's doing that. All right, let's go back to the cable chart. You can see relative strength analysis, not the indicator RSI, but relative strength indicated that this pair would be weaker between it and euro. And again, just for completeness sake, let me just show you again the daily chart on euro. There's euro. And here's the British pound. So you can really appreciate the underlying weakness and why I said what I said. So it's not like me just simply getting lucky. I'm executing my commentary on the basis of what I teach you in the core content. So it's not like I'm not moving the goalpost. Okay, I'm not twisting the logic. It's the same things I've taught in core content, just being shown to you before it happens. All right, so let's go into the hourly chart. Here's the hourly chart on British pound, and I mentioned obviously in the free videos on YouTube that the breaker here, and you guys saw some amplified lessons of that. Charter members, you know what you should be doing in regards to break it down even further. And we have a breaker here as well. High, low, higher high. Extend that out in time. Inside of this area here, we can study that on a 15-minute basis too. Market really reacts down in here. Consolidation. Now look also, think about what I gave you in regards to the euro pound. Now this is very, very important for your notes. If you have a market that is predisposed to go down more, in other words, it's more weak, it's weaker than a correlated pair. For instance, euro, dollar, and British pound. The reason why I watch these two pairs is because it's very easy to read the market with those two. If euro pound is bullish, that means cable should be underlyingly weak. If euro is not rallying, and we've also mentioned how it should not rally, it unlocks which pair to trade. So if you are looking for underlying weakness in cable over the euro dollar, in other words, what I'm saying is you're expecting British pound versus US dollar to show underlying weakness that's beyond the weakness that would be reasonable in euro dollar if dollar is going higher. And that's how we use the euro pound. We don't trade euro pound. We treat it like a barometer. Okay, it's actually it's more. It's not even a barometer. It's like a selection tool because we get our directional bias from the dollar index. But if the dollar is bullish or bearish, that's not the end of the equation. It doesn't mean if the dollar is going higher, all other foreign currencies just simply should be sold short. No, that's not true. The natural hierarchy to the progression through the analysis top down is, are we bullish or bearish on dollar? If we're neutral to bullish or firm on dollar, that means we're not looking for it to break down. It's just likely to stay where it's at and maybe small little movements up. Go back and listen to the commentaries. That's what I was saying. That leads to the avenue for foreign currencies to go lower. But if there's a underlyingly weak currency, it will be allowed to be much more animated than other currency pairs on the downside. And since we compare and contrast the euro dollar with British pound, when we are bullish or bearish on dollar, our next mode of analysis is go to the euro pound, because it'll tell us if we're bullish on dollar, should we sell euro or sell cable. Now, if euro pound is neutral, it doesn't look like it wants to go higher or lower, and just likely to stay inside of a range. That is your green light go to take either or euro or cable. That means they'll probably trade in sympathy with one another. But if there is a break in the underlying pinnings of the market where dollar is going higher, but modestly higher, just holding its range, that's still bearish foreign currency. Then you have to go through the process of determining which currency should you be shorting. Because if you look at the euro daily and the British pound daily, they're starkly contrasted between one another. There's not, well, they both went down. No, they didn't. Cable, like I mentioned, would be on the downside more. It would lend more opportunity on the downside than that of euro dollar. Okay? So British pound dug inside of its BISI from the daily chart. That's what this level is here. Just go below it, just a little shallow. We have a small fair value gap in there. Be mindful of that. And we also have a breaker. So there's several levels in here on the hourly chart to be mindful of going into next week. If we get any kind of little retracement, it could be capped by the bearish order block here or the breaker. So I'm allowing, and it's permissible to get to about mean threshold of the order block, extend that through, because we're not supply and demand. We cut through candles here. Watch this down close candle in here. That is your breaker. So we could see it trade up into that and then maybe give up the ghost a little bit more. But that remains to be seen, and we'll have to monitor what we do on Sunday's opening and Monday's trading. Here's the 15-minute time frame on the British pound. Here's that breaker that I outlined on the hourly chart. Inside of that, we have another breaker here, extending out in time. You get that, and it's the mean threshold of the last up close candle, which is bearish order block, with this movement here. Small little short-term buy-side liquidity pool resting above that. That's what you have here for the 13th. Small little fair value gap in here. This, again, also was one of those levels that we reduce it down to smaller time frames. Very, very clear buy-side liquidity pool. Now, the question is, can this pair be driven up in intra-week sometime next week to clear that and then resume going lower? Here's one of those things for your notes. As I was saying earlier, if we've done our analysis and we've arrived at the cable market being weakest, or whatever pair it would be, you got to remember that if it's underlyingly weak, we won't see a lot of this type of movement where we have a high and a runner high and it goes lower. Higher highs, run, go lower. That's why after here, okay, everything in the euro pound came into effect. Notice that all of these equal highs, these relative equal highs, these relative equal highs, they're not getting taken out, are they? So how do you know, Michael, when the market's not going to go above a previous high and it's going to just do like an optimal trade entry where it just trades inside of the range and not go above a previous high and give like a turtle soup? What I just taught you here. Oh, see how that works? Oh man, you guys, if you would just simply focus on what was shown to you in core content, these commentaries are much more meaningful to you. But because you rushed through them, you ran through those lessons so fast, wanting to get to the next magic trick, okay, and that you've cheated yourself. You need to be going back through all the core content because these are things I've taught. Fair value gap trades up into that, and again, on the 5-minute chart on Friday, you can see that it was one of the reasons why I pointed your attention to it, and reaching down into the daily BISI, the high end or premium end of that buy side and balance, sell side inefficiency on the daily chart for pound dollar. And I think that's going to be it, folks. I will be, again, continuing with the YouTube examples on my YouTube channel for optimal trade entry. I get a lot of requests to do other patterns and such. I'm not going to be doing that, so just be content with what you're getting there. And that's going to be it, folks. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I will talk with you by way of Twitter. Until then, I wish you good luck and good trading.